video of me faffing around with something, surprisingly. So I need to do something, and I need to kind of keep a record of it. So I might as well make a video, and then it's I can look back and kind of see what I did and what kind of portions we get and how I kind of did it, and hopefully it will be kind of interesting as well. So I'm going to candy some cherries. I've done it before plenty of times in different ways, in different successes. So I kind of want to do a hot black cherries over ice cream. I normally just defrost cherries and then use that juice to boil up with sugar, thicken it, add the cherries, and then create like a bit of a compote and then serve it over ice cream. I want to do something a little bit more special, so I actually want to candy the cherries, which means boiling them up in sugar every day for about boiling in sugar for 5 minutes, letting them cool down, and then repeating the process the next day for about 6 or 7 days, and then they become like glass of cherries. And then I want to add some alcohol as well. And the alcohol that I'm going to add is, where is it? Because I'm always prepared. It's going to be the alcohol from these blueberry, smashed up blueberries that I've added vodka to as part of another experiment. So I'm going to use that alcohol from those blueberries because I haven't got any. I've got some cherry gin actually, but I don't want to use it. I might as well just use that vodka. So I need to count how many cherries per 500 grams worth of frozen cherries. That's 2 gone already. So 1, 2. Oh, there's quite a lot. Do you need to see me counting them? No. I'll pause and be back when I've counted. Actually, press stop instead of pause. So there's about 141 cherries per 500 grams. I'm going to do 4 packets of cherries, so whatever that kind of comes to. I'll let them defrost, and then we'll strain off the juice. Then we'll combine that juice with some sugar, and then we'll boil them up. Don't need to kind of see that process because it's not that interesting. And I've done videos before, but it's pretty straightforward. You just boil up the cherries in the sugar syrup every day for 6 days, 7 days, and then the sugar infuses into the cherries and turns them like glass of cherries. You just need to keep topping up the liquid, and you just need to keep topping up the sugar as well. So as the syrup becomes a lot thicker, because the water has evaporated off and the sugar has been absorbed into the cherries, you need to replace that sugar and that water. And I normally kind of top it up by kind of going, oh, it needs a bit more water. So you kind of put in 100 grams worth of water and 100 grams worth of sugar, and then really boil it up. If it needs a little bit more, you add a little bit more. But anyway, so that's that. It'll take us 6 or 7 days before they're ready, and then we'll get an idea of what kind of portion size that I can use. How many cherries? I reckon depends how many. We're probably going to want about 10 per portion, which you kind of think is probably a little bit mean, but they're going to be kind of quite rich and quite indulgent. And it's all down to what people are prepared to pay. So obviously, what I generally do with catering is I tailor food to what people's budget is. That's actually a little bit advice. So generally, if you ask people what they want, they tell you what they want, and then if you then give them the price for what they want, it's generally far too much. So if you ask people what their kind of budget is, what they're kind of wanting to spend, get an idea of what they want, and then you can tailor something to what they can afford and what they kind of want. But the basic rule of thumb is people don't want to pay for exactly what they want, or they don't really kind of understand how much work kind of goes into something. So, but you can generally do a menu to a price, or you can do a menu to what people want and add a price which is generally kind of different. But anyway, that's that. So we're back in however many days, and then we'll get an idea of yield, and we'll get an idea of how much sugar we've used, and we'll get an idea of how much alcohol I'm going to add. I'm not going to add the alcohol when we're cooking them as part of the syrup. I'm going to add the alcohol afterwards. So otherwise we kind of lose the alcohol kind of flavour, and I want them to be a little bit alcoholic. whereas if we're boiling them up every day, we're going to lose that alcohol, which is something which sometimes you kind of want to do that. You want to boil off the alcohol, but in this case, I want them to be more like a maraschino cherry. So something like what we've got coloured. So something like these type of cherries, which I have. So something like that. That's kind of what we want to end up as. You know, they won't be as good and perfect as those, but there'll be something closer. You know, or something like these. You know, I don't think there's cherries in there. I've just got the juice, which I'll probably use for something else. So that's kind of what we kind of want. Could just buy lots of jars of those, but they're about £3 a piece, and we'll certainly make it for a lot cheaper than that. And we might get what, 4 or 5 portions out of that, which is a lot more expensive. Sorry, just licking the spoon. They are delicious. They are delicious. Yeah, which would be kind of like too expensive for what people kind of want to kind of pay. But anyway, there we go. So we're back when we are adding the alcohol. Ooh, just need to adjust the camera. So 7 days later, and they have turned into candied cherries. You can't really see. Let's get a better spoon, eh? So let's get a good one. They're not all perfect. If they're all like that, I'd be extremely happy. So it takes about 7 days worth of boiling up every day. 5 minutes. Delicious. Well, I'd like a thicker syrup than that. So we've used 1.5 kilos worth of sugar so far, and had to top up with a little bit of water, but not too much, because quite a lot of liquid wants to come out of the cherries. So I want a thicker syrup, so let's add another 500 grams worth of sugar. Let that out there, just there, and then we'll mix that in. It'll melt in quite quickly. And then I think 250 millilitres worth of the blueberry vodka that I made. I would put the cherry gin in, but I ain't got any left. So, where are we? So, that's the blueberry vodka after I've scale not wanting to work now. And doesn't look like the scale wants to work. That's not good. Is it in new batteries? I think it needs new batteries. It gets a lot of use. I'll pause. Well, I thought I had some batteries, but I haven't. So let's go for old school. Actually, let's make sure all that sugar's melted first. Because I don't want to. I want the alcohol flavour in the cherries. So let's melt the sugar first, and then we'll add the alcohol. But I'll pour out the alcohol. 250 millilitres, I reckon. Should be plenty. Should be plenty to make it liquid enough, and also make it taste alcoholic enough. We'll pause again. Right, sugar has melted, and I found some batteries, but my scales are broken, so that's no good, is it? So 250 millilitres. Give it a stir around, and we'll give it a taste. I don't think I'm going to serve them hot. I think if I'm going to serve them, I'm going to serve them cold on some ice cream. So I don't think we'll get away with 8 for a portion. Turn that off. That's delicious, is that? That's delicious. Certainly adding the alcohol afterwards works. So, plate. And another spoon, so just put that into the bowl. So let's have a look at. It's not a lot. Here's the That's 8. Nine, 10, 11. What's that? 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12? 12. I mean, they're pretty special. 12 going to be a good enough portion? I think so. On a bit of ice cream. 12, between 12 and maybe 15. Maybe 12 and 15. So, I can do a calculation. And it was 5 bags. It was 5 bags of cherries. I've counted how many were in each cherry. We know how much sugar, we know how much alcohol, and then we just kind of need to work out roughly how many portions out of a bag. And then you can see what kind of work we kind of need. But there we go, that should be alright. So, depending on the function, depending on how much people want to pay, those are a bit of ice cream, probably enough. Maybe. People always want more, but to be honest, people are greedy. People are greedy, you know. But, should have done it again. I put something in my mouth and I should be talking. So the idea with, you should with food, you should just give people enough that they want more, but not so enough that they actually eat too much and make themselves feel a little bit sick. So certainly when you're talking rich things, what you should do is you give them just enough that they want more, but if they were to have another spoonful, it'll be a little bit too much. And then that creates like a happy memory. But if someone feels sick after something, even though how delicious it was, they're not going to want it again. But anyway, so that's just a thing in life. I'm sure you could use that somewhere else. But anyway, so success. That's worked. I'm sure they'll be very happy when I serve them that at some time in the future. Right, so an afterthought with these cherries. I was thinking while I was swimming about, I'm going to have to use these old scales. I've torn them off to the a weight of a container, so we'll just kind of see what we've got, and it's in pounds and ounces, so it won't be too accurate. So 7 pounds 2 ounces that weighs. I'll have to do a conversion, but I was just thinking that could you actually do that in a jar? Do you actually need to boil it up for 7 days, 5 minutes every day for 7 days? Do you actually need to do that? Or could you put the right amount of cherries in a jar with the right amount of sugar, with the right amount of liquid that came out of the cherries, the cherry juice, and some alcohol, seal that jar, and then simmer it in a pan of water for an hour? Or maybe boil up all the ingredients together, put it in a jar. No, maybe melt the sugar in the, right. I'm thinking about canning. So when things are like tinned peaches, they don't cook the peaches and then put them in the tins. They cook the peaches in the tin with syrup and some sugar and any kind of other ingredients that they put in there, and they actually cook them in the tin. So could we do the same but using a jar? Because what happens is when you add sugar to fruits, the sugar wants to pull out moisture from the fruit and kind of make a syrup out of the sugar and that liquid that they've drawn out of the fruit. So potentially, if we've got the right amount of fruit liquid that comes out of the cherries because they're frozen, mix that with, heat that liquid up with sugar, add the alcohol as it cools, because you don't want to burn the alcohol. You don't want to burn the alcohol off. I wanted that alcoholic flavour. Then pour that liquid over some cherries in a jar, seal the jar, put that jar in a pan of boiling water and simmer it for maybe half an hour, so all the temperature gets right the way through the cherries and kind of sterilises everything. And then slowly over time the cherries will release juice but absorb sugar. So potentially you could do that in a jar. So maybe that's something like a bit of a plan for the future. Also making some cherry jam. That would be kind of quite interesting. But I think we'll need, if we're going to make cherry jam, I think we're going to need pectin. But I've got some pectin. I collected some from apples last year. So two plans, two potentially goals for the future, things to think about. Cooking them in a jar and just doing it once, so we don't have to boil it up for days and days and days and days and days. And making some cherry jam from frozen cherries. But that's delicious. A success. And more things to come in the future.